All right, thank you. Again, my name is Daniel Feliciano. I'm the Military Sexual Trauma Coordinator for the state of New York. I work at the New York Regional Office specifically. This is probably like the third or fourth event I've done with Operation Sisterhood. It's always a pleasure to work with these group of ladies. Jen Myers always reaches out to me about cases you ladies may have, any claims you have pending or questions you need answers to. So very grateful for the opportunity to speak to you today. Today, we're just going to go a brief overview of some benefits you have as veterans, specifically related to military sexual trauma. And then I believe at the end, we'll have a Q&A section. So if you have any questions you want to ask me about anything we go over, or any questions you have about anything related to yourselves or claims pending, you can do that afterwards. So I'm sharing a document which you should all be able to see at this point. And this is put out by the VA, can be found at any VA website. I'm gonna send a copy out to Liz, and she's gonna forward it to you guys to have. It'll also be on the recording for you guys to review at your own pace. So it's an overview of benefits related to military sexual trauma, and I highlighted some keynotes that I just wanted to go over that you may not be aware of. So we'll take the first bullet point. It says the VA has free healthcare services available to help recover from mental or physical health conditions related to your MST experience. And the next bullet point we have is, this one relates to if you file a claim and are service connected for any condition, whether it be MST related or not. So once you are service connected, you will receive a monthly non-taxable compensation, which is known as your VA compensation. Based on your percentages every month, you will get a non-taxable deposit into your bank account or check if you still receive paper checks. Also, depending on what your percentage is, you do qualify for a 10-point hiring preference, which is, I believe, usable for city, state, and federal. We can just double check that. You can definitely use it for federal, and the points, again, depend on your percentage of service connection. So I think if you're service connected at 30% or higher, you get this 10-point preference, and anything lower than that is, I think, 5 points. You also get free healthcare services. That's depending on whether you are service connected or not. Some conditions you don't have to be service connected for to receive mental health care or treatment. Military sexual trauma is one of those conditions. So any condition you have related to military sexual trauma, because MST in itself is not a condition, it's an event. So say you have PTSD, you have depression, you have anxiety, and it's deemed due to this MST, you can receive free healthcare treatment, whether you're service connected or not. So that's very important for you to know. We can skip this. Our next bullet is, please note that applying for disability compensation is separate from eligibility for the free MST related healthcare services through the VA. You do not need to apply for disability compensation to receive MST related treatment, and do not need to have reported your experience at the time the event occurred. You may be able to receive MST related treatment even if you are not eligible for other VA care. And if you want to know more about that, you can visit your local VAMC or click on the link in the document, and it will give you more information about that. So what that simply means is, whether you're service connected or not, again, you're still able to receive treatment for any mental health condition. So that's specific to mental health. So if you go to the VA doctor and it's for anything other than mental health, they might require you to be service connected, or they might want you to be a veteran with honorable service. For mental health conditions, that is not the case. You can receive treatment whether you're service connected or whether you have honorable service or not. So that's very important to keep in mind. This next section, I forgot to highlight the definition of MST. I apologize, since this is an MST Intel hour. But the VA uses the term MST to refer to sexual assault or sexual harassment experienced during military service. So that's very important because the MST event has to be during a period of military service. Anything before or after wouldn't count. And you also have to be the person to specifically experience the trauma. So if you witnessed it on behalf of someone else, that doesn't count as MST. That can be PTSD, non-combat, that can be another form of PTSD, personal trauma. It just wouldn't count under the MST umbrella. So please keep that in mind. You do have to be the one who personally suffered the MST, and it does need to be during a period of active duty service. We can do it for a period of reserve service if you were on ADT or IADT, so active duty training or inactive duty training. If there's any one of those two periods, and we can prove that, then we can service connect you for MST on those two occasions as well. Some examples here include being pressured or coerced into sexual activities, such as with threats of negative treatment if you refuse to cooperate, or with promises of better treatment in exchange for sex. Someone having sexual contact with you without your consent, such as when you are sleeping or intoxicated. Being physically forced to have sex, being touched in sexual ways that made you feel uncomfortable. Comments about your body or sexual activities that you found threatening. Unwanted sexual advances that you found threatening. And one of the key things I did highlight here is that to receive disability compensation from the VA, you must have a current health condition related to these experiences. Excuse me. So what that is saying is that, say your MST event was in 2015, and currently today, so in 2022, you do not have a mental health condition, or you don't have any mental health treatment, then there's no existing condition for the VA to say resulted from this military sexual trauma, so we cannot service connect you. So just keep in mind that although this event may have occurred at some time previously, you still need to be suffering from some kind of mental condition or have some kind of mental treatment for us to say that the two are related. Okay. And then for any VA disability compensation claim to be successful, there must be 1, a current physical or mental condition that affects your body and mind. 2, an event, injury, or illness that happened while you were serving in the military. And 3 is a link between the current disability, the event, injury, or disease that happened during your military service. So simply put, for you to claim a condition that happened to you in the service, you have to have proof that the event happened or the condition. So say you had a knee strain, you would have to see the knee strain documented in service. You would have to have some kind of current treatment for a knee condition. It doesn't have to be a knee strain specifically, but it does need to be some knee condition in the same knee. So if it was right knee in service, it needs to be right knee today. And then there has to be a link. So the link comes into play is that if you have a condition in service and you have the same or a condition affecting the same body part today, we'll send you for an exam, and the examiner is going to say if it's linked to your service or not. And that's how you get compensated for any condition that you claim in the VA. When it comes to MST, it's a little bit different only because most MST cases aren't reported and there's no physical evidence for us to relate to. So MST is the only condition that we can service connect you for with a mental condition that we can use markers for. And specifically, it has to be PTSD that we use the markers to relate to your service. So, you know, if you claim PTSD due to MST and we send you to the exam, and we use markers to support that exam, and the examiner diagnoses you with depression, we cannot use those markers to service connect you for depression. It has to be specifically PTSD. You can get service connected for depression a different way. We just can't do it through the markers. The markers are specifically for PTSD. So just keep that in mind whenever you're filing your MST claims. And again, any claim, you need those conditions to be service connected. I don't think I highlighted anything else, but we sure can talk about markers and things like that. So for MST related claims, you can use any of the items listed below to support your claim for disability. Any service, medical, or personnel record documenting the MST event occurred, Department of Defense or DOD sexual assault or harassment reporting forms, investigative reports completed during military service. So these three items, the first one especially, is what you would need to meet one of those three elements that are right here. So any service, medical, or personnel documenting that the MST event occurred, that would be the event or injury that happened while you were in the service. So this is the one that most people are missing, again, because 85% of MST survivors don't document or report that there was an MST event in service. So this bullet point 2 would coincide with the medical or personnel records documenting that the MST event actually occurred. But again, for MST purposes, we can work around that with markers. The DOD sexual assault or harassment forms, I believe those forms weren't created until after 2001. So any period of service prior to 2001, those forms didn't exist. And these forms are beneficial. They're not a requirement to have the claim. We'll just ask you if you did complete one in service. If you say yes, then we'll go out and get those forms on your behalf. If you say no, we will move forward and it won't hinder your claim in any kind of way. Any investigation reports completed during military service, that's again, if you reported it, if you sat down with CID or NCIS and they filled out any reports and you let us know, again, we could attain those on your behalf, but it's not mandatory for MST cases that you would have done this. So if you didn't do it, please don't worry about it. If you did do it, let us know and we'll get it for you. In addition to service records or DOD reports, veterans who have current PTSD related to their experience of MST can also submit alternate sources of evidence. Although these sources of evidence may not directly document that the occurrence of the MST event, they may corroborate the occurrence of the event. Examples of alternate sources of evidence include, but are not limited to, and these are going to be the markers. So in any case in which we don't have concrete evidence that the MST event occurred, so if you were a veteran, female veteran, and your MST statement was, while I was stationed in Fort Stewart, Georgia, I was raped by, let's say, my squad leader, and you went immediately to sick hall, you got a rape kit done, you got an HIV test done, you got STI test done. That's all physical evidence that the MST event actually took place. So we wouldn't need any markers because we have proof that you did these things in service after the event occurred. So that would be a direct service connection. We wouldn't need any markers. We would set you up for the exam right away. Let's say it was the same scenario. I was a veteran stationed in Fort Stewart, Georgia, and I was raped by my squad leader. and you didn't do any of those things, so you didn't report it, you didn't do a rape kit, you didn't do an HIV test, you didn't do any STD or STI checks, we would have to use alternate sources of evidence to try to prove that this event did actually take place. And all we need is more than a reasonable doubt that this could have occurred. And these alternate sources of evidence might be able to prove that in your case. So we have, if you spoke to your chaplain about the event, if you went to any counseling facilities or health clinics, whether it be federal or not, so whether it was on post or off post, as long as you identify if it was off post, the name of the facility you went to, we can get those records on your behalf. A rape crisis center or center for domestic abuse, if you went to this place or you called that number and you give us that information, we can start looking on your behalf for that. If you spoke to a facility member, if you let us know who that member is, we can reach out to them, or they can provide you a statement and you give us that statement, and that'll be enough. If you reported it to the civilian police, if you have a copy of the report, submit it to us. If you don't, again, we can reach out and try to get that report on your behalf. If you spoke to any family members or roommates right after the situation, and again, we get a statement from them on your behalf, that's more than enough. If you spoke to any service members, so anyone in your squad, anyone in your unit that you might have told this event to, that they can say, yeah, I was there when this happened, or I was there immediately after. That's good for us. We have medical reports from civilian physicians or caregivers who treated the veteran immediately following the incident or sometime later. Again, this is if it was off post. So let's say the event happened at a bar and you were rushed to the emergency room off post, or you went to an emergency room off post. As long as you could provide us with the name and treatment dates, we can go get those records on your behalf to help establish that the event occurred. Personal journals or diaries. So if you kept a record of your daily life while on active duty and you put an entry on a specific day or a day later, a week later, a month later, as long as we see something documenting evidence that we can establish, then we'll be good enough to go ahead and try to get you the exam. And then when service records or alternate sources of evidence are not available, indirect sources of evidence may be used to establish the occurrence of an MST stressor. These may be behavioral events, patterns of changed behavior, or circumstances that provide clues supporting the report of the trauma. They do not have to show indefinite evidence that it did, and some examples are change in the work performance at the time, episodes of the following without clear causes: anxiety, depression, panic attacks, pregnancy tests, relationship issues like divorce, request to transfer from another military duty assignment, sexual dysfunction, substance abuse, tests for sexually transmitted diseases, unexplained social or economic behaviors. So these are markers also. These markers just establish a change in your pattern of behavior. A good example is, before the MST event, let's say you're always getting perfect scores on your physical fitness tests. And then after the MST event, you started failing, or your scores dropped drastically. We would establish that as a change of behavior. So we could say, because of this event, it caused her to start failing her fitness test, or it caused her to start missing work. It caused her to want to be transferred. It caused her to get a divorce. So for any one of these reasons where we could establish a change in your pattern of behavior after the event, we can use that as a marker and we'll set you up for the exam. And what these markers do is we'll give these markers to the examiner, and the examiner is going to be the one that's going to link these markers to the event. So he'd say, yes, because of the MST event, this service member started failing her fitness tests. And once he tells us that, then that's how we would service connect you for the PTSD due to MST. If he says, no, that's not the cause, or no, that doesn't relate to it, then we wouldn't be able to service connect you due to that marker. And then we can go back and look for other markers. If you have any other evidence that you can submit, or you think that we might have missed something, you can reach out to us and let us know. And we'll do our best to get the exam back to the examiner so we can try to get you service connected. Excuse me. The next one is the VA may request medical examinations and opinions to help determine how all of the available evidence relates to the MST and any current PTSD or other diagnosis. So again, that's just what I just said. We'll use the markers to get you an exam, and the examiner has to give us the opinion saying, yes, these two are related. And again, markers can only be used to service connect PTSD, not any other mental condition, at least not at this time. So we send you for the exam. The examiner's like, he doesn't have PTSD. He's actually diagnosed with depression. We cannot use those markers to service connect that depression. So just please keep that in mind when you're filing these claims. This section here goes on to say that if you filed an MST related claim before August of 2018 and you received a denial, the VA encourages you to refile so that your claim can be reviewed by staff who have recently been trained on this. You can request a reevaluation by contacting the MST outreach coordinator at your local regional office. So in 2018, we changed the guidelines and procedures to MST cases. So if you were denied prior to 2018, you could try to reopen your claim and we could look at it under the new guidance and regulations and see if we can service connect you. If you do go that route, you would have to submit a supplemental claim if the issue was formally denied. So if you have a formal denial of PTSD due to MST and you wanted to reopen that case, you would have to submit a supplemental claim. And the form for that is a 0995. I'll go into that at the end. But if you were denied, please, you can refile. Again, I'm the coordinator for New York. If you have any questions, you feel free to reach out to me and I can assist you. You can reach out to Jen Myers and she'll reach out to me on your behalf. Or if you just want me to look at your personal case to see if we can reopen it without you having to submit a new claim, we can do that also. When you request a reevaluation, you may submit new or additional evidence that you're with your claim. If you have a VSO, a veteran service officer, or you have a MST coordinator at your station, we can help you with that. What I would say is that if you were formally denied for PTSD, the evidence you submit has to be new and relevant. What that means is if you were denied for PTSD, save for no diagnosis, you need to show us current medical evidence that you do now have a diagnosis of PTSD. That'll be considered new and relevant evidence to the case. If you give us medical evidence saying that now you have a diagnosis of a knee condition, well, that's not relevant to your PTSD, so we would not be able to reopen your claim in that instance. So just keep that in mind. If you do want to reopen your claim, we need new and relevant evidence to successfully do that. Here just tells you the websites you can go to apply and the forms you need. And I just put them down here at the bottom. The 526EZ, which is the application for compensation benefits, that's required. We need that. If we don't have that, you don't have a claim. And the 526EZ is only for a new claim. So you could not have been denied PTSD previously. This has to be a new claim for PTSD due to MST. That'll be on the 526EZ. The 0781 alpha is a statement in support of claim for service connection of PTSD due to personal trauma. This is what you're going to put your stressor information on. And I encourage you to make this as specific as possible, because the more specific you make it for us, the easier it'll be for us to look for evidence that situation occurred. if you just put on there, I suffered an MST event, let's say in 2010, there's not too much for us to go on. We don't know what the event is. We don't know where the event took place. And we understand this may be hard for you to divulge, but any information you can give us on that form will be extremely helpful for your case. The 4138 statement in support of claim. If you have anything extra you want to put that you didn't put on the 0781, if you have any statements from family members, from service members, from anyone, you could be submitted on this form and we'll accept it. Just have them sign it at the bottom and that's fine. And then those DOD reporting forms, the 2910 and 2911 are the restricted and unrestricted reporting forms. Again, I believe it was prior to 2001. These forms didn't exist. So if you did fill them out, great. If you didn't fill them out, it will not hinder your claim in any kind of way. So I know I spoke on a lot of topics. If you have any questions, we'll go over that. Again, this document is going to be sent to Operation Sisterhood for them to give to you. It's also on the recording. If you want to pause it and just go over any section by yourself, you're more than welcome to. If you have any questions that you can't ask today, you're not here to ask today, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. If you want to go through Operation Sisterhood to reach out to me, that's more than fine as well. I'm more than willing to go through anyone's claim. And I do love spending time with Operation Sisterhood, so I look forward to doing more events with you guys. And that's all I have.